I'm Acting Commissioner Cheryl Clapprood from the Springfield Police Department, and to tell you about an arrest that occurred last night shortly after 9:30 p.m. Officers arrested a Ruben Barrero, B-A-R-R-E-R-O, 39 years of age, from 74 Vermont Street. Mr. Barrero had earlier in the day been removed from 74 Vermont Street, 3rd floor, by his mother, and was very upset about this eviction. So Mr. Barrero returned to the home at 74 Vermont Street later in the afternoon, was seen for several hours pacing on the porch area, and seemed to be very upset. Just before 9:30 p.m., one of the residents from 74 Vermont Street went outside, and the porch had been lit on fire. The fire was starting to spread into the home. All occupants of the home got out without injury. Mr. Barrero had fled the scene, and one of the residents of 74 Vermont Street was able to give us a pretty good description of Mr. Barrero and what he was wearing. Shortly thereafter, officers spotted Mr. Barrero in the 340 block of Island Pond Road. One of our canine officers pulled up next to Mr. Barrero and asked him to stop. Mr. Barrero did not. He ran in the opposite direction, where Officer Greg Vatrano was approaching him. He pulled over, and the two officers engaged in a short foot pursuit. Mr. Barrero was stopped, and he began to struggle with Officer Vatrano. Officer Vatrano was struck in the chest with a loud punching bang motion to his chest. Officer Stelzer says the hit to the chest was so loud he heard it from a little bit away. The two began to struggle violently on the ground with Mr. Barrero on top of Officer Vatrano. He was delivering blows to the officer's head and body. Officer Stelzer was able to come over, and he engaged in the combat, and several other officers arrived on scene. The taser was deployed on Mr. Barrero and was ineffective because Mr. Barrero at the time was wearing several layers of clothing, so the prongs from the taser actually did not affect him. He was subsequently brought under control and placed under arrest while kicking at the officers who were placing him in a cruiser. And Officer Vatrano, we discovered that what he struck him in the chest was a kitchen knife that actually struck the trauma plate of his bulletproof vest, ripped his shirt, and hit the trauma plate, and we recovered the kitchen knife. The kitchen knife was tagged into evidence along with Officer Vatrano's vest and shirt. Officer Vatrano was taken to the hospital, and Officer Vatrano was suffering from a broken hand and cuts and bruises. He's at home recovering. He is in good spirits and gave us permission to absolutely use his name in case there's anyone out there with concerns for his well-being. He's doing well.